Wow, tons of information there, and especially around how the two platforms are moving. It's really interesting to hear kind of, the word that keeps on coming up is user. It's becoming more and more about tailoring unique experiences to people, as opposed to just having this random tool set of technology that is let to run away with itself. So, we'll do a little bit hi, who we are. We'll talk about the what, the why, and the emotions. So, show of hands, whose click costs have gone up over the past 12 months? So only a few. Right, you're lucky, because over the next 12 months, they probably will. Anyone's competition gone up in the market? And anyone's margins taken a suffering from click costs going up or increased competition? Yeah, so it's something that we're hearing a lot, and it's something that we want to really combat by using kind of the power of the automation and technology and the ability to really get inside the minds of our customers and provide experiences that match with the tailoring of the adverts that we can create. So we support brands who are looking to increase more sales and generate more leads. That's what we do on a day-to-day basis. And in order to do that, we work on generating paid traffic, we work on optimizing visibility through technical SEO, and we run conversion optimization. So that's the last of the sales pitch. So let's have a look at the what. Does anyone know who this is? Sherlock Holmes, so maybe I should have used the more modern one, but I didn't know who was Sherlock Holmes and who was Watson. So I didn't want to put up a picture and then everyone would be like, how could you get the wrong one? So Sherlock Holmes. In order to get a good understanding of your customers, the first thing that we like to do is to take a deep dive into the data that they're leaving. And Google Analytics tends to be the first place that we're going to look. So on the next few slides, I've got some screenshots. And then as kind of a group collective, we're going to look and guess and see what those statistics are saying. And I do have prizes, because we couldn't have a talk on improving revenue without some gold coins to give out. Unfortunately, if you're lactose intolerant, they're probably not correct for you. So you can still answer, but I'll find something that I can give you that won't cause you an afternoon of discomfort. So this is browser performance analytics screenshot. So there's a couple of things that I looked at and got a little bit of like, why is that happening? Anyone got any ideas which ones they were? So we've got conversion rate, we've got amount of revenue, we've got some metrics, and then we've got down here the different browsers that people are looking through. Anyone see anything there that would make them think, sweet, I'm glad you're all quiet because we do this for a living. So the first thing that I saw is between Chrome and Safari, there's a 10% difference in conversion. And on £1 million worth of revenue, that starts to stack up. So when I first come on to Google Analytics, before we've understood anything about the customer, before we've understood that much about a client, what we know is the difference between Chrome and Safari has a 10% difference, which could be a lot of money. So when you go back to your offices, to your businesses, either you know how to do this already, that's cool, go into analytics and have a look at your browser performance. The other thing that I didn't like the look of is on Safari and Android, when someone opened one of these pages within an app, the conversion rates are only 0.99% and 0.39%, which is really scary considering my control, my best one is about, well, ranges anything between 9% and 5%. So as all I'm really looking at now is what is the data telling me about how my experience is running. And at the moment it's telling me three things. In-app, not very good. Safari, okay. Chrome, killing it. How do we pull them all together? The next thing I want to look at is device performance. So we've all heard that mobile's where it's at. So very different user between a mobile and a desktop. They might be the same person, but they've often got a very different state of mind. So having a look, what are the kind of things that are sticking out here? Yeah, it's like a similar story, isn't it, between iPad and iPhone. Yeah. So again, we've got this difference. So I'm taking a note of that. And then there's also things that are working really well. For some reason, Amazon Kindle Fire's going great guns. And then finally, page performance. Now, we've worked up easy. I'm going to give you a kind of clue. The thing that really grabbed my attention was around about here, 18 and 19. If we looked at row 18 and 19, and then we had a look at the conversion rate numbers here. Anyone see anything strange? So row 18 and 19 look like they're exactly the same page. The only difference is there's a slash at the end of one, and there's no slash at the end of the other. And the one with the slash has got a conversion rate of 3%, and the one without a slash has got a conversion rate of 5.38%. So something is going on there, something that I'm going to... Anyone a dev in here? A/B test. Are you a dev? Good. Anyone else a dev? No? Great. So when I see that going on, the first thing I'm going to do is interrupt my dev from their Diet Coke, no, full Coke and pizza, and say, what is going on with something on my site that is causing my conversion rate to half? And as you said, maybe there's an A/B test going on. Something's happening there that is losing me money. And I don't like losing money, especially when my FD's sat in the audience. She really doesn't like me losing money. So this is what happens. We all think that we're looking at our site and we want to increase the conversion. And we come up with these ideas and we find some things. But what do you do with the ideas once you've come up with them? Where do you kind of put them and understand what's going on so that you can work through them and decide what to prioritize? I think one thing that anyone needs, especially if you're in e-com, is to create a findings log. So simply what this is a table. What we're going to track is the method. So in that case, I was looking at Google Analytics. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to log my findings. So Safari, 10% lower conversion rate than Chrome. It was on a desktop. It was across all pages. And am I going to test it? Am I going to fix it? And who's responsible? And then on GA, /sale versus sale, conversion rate difference. It was only happening on mobile. So I'm going to log that's my group. It was applying to the commercial pages, so pages that were really driven about making money, test it, and I've got the lucky job of fixing it. So what we're going to do is continue to go through our analytics, but instead of just looking through and kind of thinking, what am I going to do, what's going on, will the problem go away, just log them all. And then I would also say then you've got a fantastic way of prioritizing your development backlog, because things that fix the things that are costing you money will be far more worthwhile investing into than things that are just going to make your site look pretty. So we'll get the findings log. The other thing that we can do is look at segments. So what Google Analytics has the ability to do is take groups of people and kind of put mini elastic bands around them and say, these are groups of people that look like this, these are groups of people that look like that. What I want to be able to do is to compare how those groups of people go against each other. So here's an example of cart abandonners. So show me, group together all of the people that have visited /GB/basket, the UK basket, but don't have any transactions that have come from Bing. I know what you're thinking, that's sad, isn't it? It's probably only about 4 of them. I only made that joke because you were here, but otherwise I would have said. So this would be how you create a segment. Now what I would advise to you is to create the same segment, but when it looks for source, create one for Bing, one for Google, one for Facebook, because then what we can do is all of our major traffic sources, the abandoners, I want to see what's different about them. I want to see, do they visit more pages, less pages, what's the landing pages, what's the age. And as all you'd need to do is create that segment, and then up at the top where it says Add Segment, you choose the segment that you want, and then it starts giving you 2 lots of graphs or 2 lots of data ranges. Go into analytics, you can create loads of them. I'm going to give you all of the slides, and there's worksheets that come along with this. So there's a mini video on how to create the segment, so you can go back and create all of them. So some of the segments that I like to create, sessions with transactions, and a landing page is the product page. So show me what are all the people doing who actually buy, I like to look at the days to transaction. So I want to see what's the difference between people that convert on day 1 to the people that convert on day 5. And if you're working in lead gen, I want to see form completions by traffic sources. So again, I can see which of the traffic sources, Google, Facebook, Bing, that are worthwhile investing more in, because I actually get more completions from them. Because I'm sure you would all agree, someone that's been, how do I say this respectfully? So someone that's been shown, someone that's had an advert surfaced to them on Facebook because of a demographic match, am I all right so far? Is different to someone that's gone onto Google and typed something in specific that they're looking for. So it's a different kind of mindset that the same user can have multiple times a day. I want to see how that looks on my site. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to look for what's broken or what needs to be fixed in Google Analytics. I'm going to split my customers up by looking at segments and creating them. And that's going to filter into my findings log to see what I need to fix. So if that's the what, that is like the scientific, Sherlocky Holmes, need like clever people to do it. You know, analytics, some of the guys at work, very, very clever. But the why is important as well. Has anyone heard of a heuristic review? Some people call it an expert review, which I can handle much better. Heuristics is basically, even I have to read it, basically looking through your user interface and to see what's working and what isn't working. That's kind of how I like to do it. And then there's obviously a joke for people that get it, also known as heuristics, hence the name, ha ha ha, exclamation mark. So, but what I really want to do is I want to go through, I want you to go through your own site, and these are the headings I want you to review. I want you to review it for clarity. I want you to also look at it for relevancy. So what I want you to say is, if you've driven a Facebook advert to a landing page with a special offer, does the landing page actually reference the offer that was in the Facebook advert or Google advert? Because if it doesn't, there's a lack of relevancy. I also want you to look at friction. So for me, what friction's about is when there is a massive pop-up to enter your email address to subscribe to the newsletter to get 10% off. What I want you to test is, for the amount of people that fill in that form, how big does that compare your database? How big does that grow your database and turn into transactions than it annoying people in the first place and them having to click the close? Now, on some cases, it'll build your database and it will generate you more revenue. In some cases, it will just stop more people going any further. Looking at the cookie acceptance laws, does it really need to be that in your face? Something to test. Distraction, what's going on? Have you got, I'm a big disliker of sliding pictures in banners of websites, because I think you've got a look for someone to be able to see what's going on your site, and in the periphery there's a sliding banner. It becomes distracting. And finally, motivation. Motivation, I think it's like the calls to action. It's the bits that make people want to do stuff. So what was interesting is I looked at our site. We're doing some testing on ours at the moment, but when I looked at motivation and then came and looked at our site, I was like, hold on a minute. We've got a site, it works, you're here, so something's definitely working. But within that first view, there is no social proof. There is no testimonial from one person or another that said that if you engage with return, we can increase your conversion rate by 400%. We do it, but there's nowhere that it says it. When it looks at relevancy and clarity, there's nowhere there that says that we've got a sophisticated user testing lab that I think only one other agency in the Northwest has got. There's nowhere that says that. So I'm missing out on some points around motivation and around some relevancy. So when I go back to my finding log now, I go back and I say, well, actually, under my product, there's no clear differentiator versus our competitors. And on motivation, we need to add some social proof. So I add them in. And now what I'm starting to build is a really good document that is showing the things I can test and the things I can build, and I can start prioritizing around how much each of those is either going to cost me or take me in development time, and which one's likely to have the biggest payoff. The emotions. I love this bit. If there was one secret sauce that allows you to get in the minds of the people, this is it. So, who knows what emotion that is? Happy. Yes, that's my daughter Ruby. She is happy because she's at a chocolate making factory, and that's the chocolate that she's making, and she's stuffed her face full of it, and she's very, very happy. Who knows what emotion that is? Sad. Yeah. That's like when you get out of here and you realise someone's cleared up all the sandwiches. No, they haven't. They're still there. Sad. What facial expression's that? Shocked or surprised? That's my youngest. I think that was the no, you can't have a new iPad. And she went like, what? What, this one? Yes. That is exactly what it is, frustration. And then finally, what's this one on my face? Very interesting because there's two things going on here. This is my wife and she's going, oh, I'm having a lovely photo with my husband. And that is my face, that my face is smiling, but actually I'm dying inside because I've got a fluorescent headband on. But all of those little pictures, all of those emotions gave clear insight into kind of what was actually going on at a person level. You know, it's all very well being able to have the technology to create experiences for individual people from where they're based and what their habits are. But the one thing that sometimes can't know is if someone's having a good day or a bad day or how they like stuff. So here's what I want to ask you. This is Google Live View. This one person's visited this site from the keyword fabric. What are they feeling? Well, no one's got a clue, have they? Because they're just a number. I mean, analytics is great, but let's be honest, it's just numbers. What about this page? What's that saying? Saying that, I don't know, affiliates has got a conversion rate of 16%. It's making the owner happy. Not really saying anything about the emotion. And that's where I wanted to learn. What can I find out more about the person versus just being a number in analytics? This is Hotjar. We use it a lot. But I don't know who the person was that came up and said that just where someone's mouse goes is where someone's eyes go as well. Because I don't know about you, but my eyes go all over the place depending where I'm looking. I think this is one of their best ones where people actually click, because it's more quantitative than qualitative. But just looking at one of these recordings or the playbacks, it gives you an idea of what's going on. It can add some stuff to your finding logs, but if you think you know what's really going on with that person's warped and fragile little mind, you don't. It's a guess. This one I recorded my face.
Usability test, we're looking at emotional peaks that are gathered using a sensor while the person is doing the test. We are looking at muscle movements, and these are facial expressions that are measured by the scene camera, as you can see my face. And then what we are also tracking is actual emotions that are derived from the interpretation of the muscle movements. So that's how it all works. As you can see, there's a big facial expression coming up. Now, this actually comes from me not being able to see some of the writing. So I leant forward and I made a face. Then we are able to just skip through the rest of the test as it all looks pretty normal. But we're starting to just see how people are using the site. Now we start to see some of our peaks, which is the bottom row. They're starting to see more of them occurring, and the sadness metric is coming up. And this is because of some of the issues that we found. So example, as it's coming into screen, the bottom row, now we can see all of the emotional peaks being gathered. And what that is actually coming from is the fact that as I was trying to navigate through the site, every time I was clicking on one of the buttons, it was bringing me back to the same page. Now, I know this is an older site and a new one's being built, but it's just an example of what the test would show. And we can see a lot of frustration building up. We then moved on to the filtering process, and as I was trying to filter for prices, nothing was happening because there were no products being shown, which was starting to lead to more and more frustration, which you will be able to see on my face. The overlay, the little dots, are the computer processing my muscle movements. and this is starting to give a really good indication of how the user is actually feeling. You can't get this information through a standard test because just recording mouse movement doesn't show the face, it doesn't show the emotions that are happening.
So what we've got there is effectively a sensor on someone's hand that's measuring the conductivity of their skin and their pulse. We've got a webcam aimed at someone's face, actually measuring the muscle movements for your brow furrow. I can't do it. I've not had Botox, I promise, but like there, when you get annoyed, it's also measuring upturns of the mouth and downturns, and it's turning that into emotion like fear and sadness, things like that. And then we have also got the ability to track eyes. And all of this is coming together to give you an idea of what's going on. Now, these are tests that we do. There's ways of doing it, but what I would say is when you're looking at your finding logs and what you're going to do, get a couple of your ideal users, bring them into the office or go to their office and just record with a normal webcam or your phone their face while they're doing a session looking through your site. Because I think that the face gives a good indication as to what's going on, especially if you're with someone that's got one of those faces where kind of they show their emotions very highly. So then what we would do is go back to our findings log, and this time we would add that there's confusion on the form fill, it happened on desktop, the page group is commercial, we're going to test it, and we're going to own it. So what we've done here is go through, let's have a go at Google Analytics. Let's find the things that aren't working properly. Let's have a look at the devices, let's have a look at the browsers, let's have a look at the revenue that the pages are creating. We've then gone through and had a look through all of the elements, frustration, relevancy, motivation, distraction, friction, throughout the whole site and picked out the things that we don't think are as good. And then we've done some more sophisticated testing to build the finding logs full of the things that we want to test. What that then allows us to do is go back and say which ones are going to cost us lots of money to do, which ones are going to be easy to do, and most importantly, if you found an error on a page that only gets about 16 visitors a month, it's probably not worth testing that page. If you've got a page that gets 200,000 visitors a month, it's worth testing it. The only thing I would suggest though is don't test your whole traffic source. So if you're going to run an A/B test, maybe say that I'm only going to show the test to people that are on mobile on a Chrome browser so that you don't ruin your whole traffic source with a test that doesn't work. And that's how we basically take the traffic that we're generating, we get it spot on, and then we create a user experience that is going to do that money that we're spending on acquisition, the justice when it comes to the site. So, thank you very much for coming.